And here we are.
Here we are. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm surviving, getting over stomach flu right now. So all the fun stuff of trying to pack everything in for the holidays,
Yeah,
amongst being
I mean, what's the holidays without getting at least a little bit sick and, giving it to your family and extended family? It's a
exactly.
gift.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm excited for our topic today. Be kind of doing a recap here on 2024 and kind of doing some predictions about 2025. Got an awesome lineup of people joining us, and yeah, should be a lot of fun. Should be a good discussion today.
Yeah, so let's dive in. Let's hit that industry year in review because there is a lot to talk about. I
Yeah,
know you guys are going to be surprised when we say everybody was breached because, that's what happened this year. I mean, Microsoft execs got hit. So many different routers got targeted. Y'all remember when that happened? That sucked. The United Health Group got hit in their Change Health area. And geez, the snowflake scenario, that was fun. We all enjoyed that for a while. In fact, that was the gift that kept giving for a while. Verizon and AT&T, and T, and of course, I think you probably just saw that Starbucks got hit again, so that was sad. I don't know about you, but I'm not happy when the hackers get to my coffee.
not at all. And then, of course, acquisitions like crazy is insane to me. How many acquisitions I've been hearing rumors this week about even more to close out the year. So
Yeah, especially the big guys. They're
yeah,
gobbling up some other groups like crazy.
yep, absolutely. Event fatigue. So in 2023, we were tracking about 200 industry events. In 2024, we were tracking over 500 industry in person events globally. It's just craziness. I don't know about you, but for me, that's it's become a bit much, and I'm sure for our vendor friends as well. It's you got to figure out where to maximize your time and your budget, and I'm sure that that'll be something we talk about a bit today.
100%. Yeah, there's a lot of really good events out there, so we will definitely bring that up.
Yeah,
Um, all the AI. Oh my gosh. Like, does every product now have AI built in somehow? Or at least
that's
they've
I
slapped the
picture
label
the
on it, right?
meme. Yeah, that meme of the used car salesman of just like there's
How
so
many?
many AIs in this baby, but yeah, no, I feel like everyone is latching onto it. Obviously, it's a can be a force multiplier, but there's obviously inherent risk to it as well that people need to take into consideration. But yeah, it seems to be permeating every facet of our world right now. And I think also the developments in compliance. I think that is a hot topic that just keeps getting hotter. Obviously, there is some more information about CMMC this week, and we'll be seeing more and more of that. I know that's a topic that's near and dear to one of our guests' heart, at least. So uh, I'm sure we'll dive into that as well.
All right. So let's bring up the couple of events that just happened recently. And we've got Women in the Channel happens every December at the beginning of December. It's usually in New York City. I did not go this year. It was my birthday, so it was a big birthday, so I didn't go. I stayed home, celebrated with my family this year.
Yeah, that's probably a good call. That is a fun event though for but right there in the heart of New York City. But I just got back from CompTIA YEPM, which is their year-end planning meeting. Um, a lot of it is under NDA, so can't say a whole lot, but would say that there's a lot of optimistic news and that there will be a lot more that'll be available to the public here probably the first part of January. I think January 8th, 10th time period, you'd probably be seeing a lot of information come out.
Well, I'm certainly excited. I think there's a lot of really interesting things going on at CompTIA with how they have, I want to call it, divided up things, and we'll see what plays out. So it'll be super interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's get into the predictions for 2025, and we want to bring our guests in and get all of that taken care of because we have a really fantastic lineup. And let's bring them in.
All right. So we're joined by some illustrious individuals from the channel here. Marvin, you want to do a quick introduction of yourself for those that may not know you?
Well, sure. As you can see on the screen, if you're watching, my name is Marvin Bee, and I run an IT shop out of Fort Lauderdale called MB Systems of South Florida. I've been operating for 27 years down here, and I also host a podcast in the industry and talk about some of the same things we're talking about today.
You have an episode this evening, correct? That you'll be talking about Christmas devices.
Yeah, well, it's our year-end holiday party, so it's just trying to recap the year, sort of what we're doing here, but it's a little more festive. There may be some beverages involved, and we will be announcing the 2024 Podcast Award winners.
Awesome. That's exciting. All right, Tim,
Hello.
you want to go ahead and do a quick introduction of yourself?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Wow, it's already like a couple days away from Christmas. I'm very excited. But Tim Golden, founder and CEO of Compliance Scorecard, where we help you, the MSP, have that risk conversation with your customer. Excited to be on here. Always love what the tech degenerates are doing. Don, happy belated birthday.
Oh,
Henry,
thank
good
you.
to see you. And of course, Uncle Marv. We'll see you later on one of the live streams at some point.
Yeah, and congratulations, Tim, on you guys just closed on a acquisition, or I should say, announced it at least here.
We
So
did. We did. For those of you that have never done an M&A process, maybe you have. It's definitely interesting to say the least. But yeah, we're really excited. Brian is. I keep saying Brian's the peanut butter to my jelly. I probably need to find a better way of saying that. The yin to my yang. It's really great though. We're really looking forward to helping MSPs and guide them along their compliance journey. So we knew this was the next evolution of where compliance scorecard could really help MSPs along the way.
awesome. Well, congratulations. And then Brad, you want to do a quick intro for yourself?
Absolutely. It's a blast to be here with everyone. Thank y'all for letting me come hang out. Brad Powell, I'm the co-founder, CRO of Threat Captain. We're a company dedicated to empowering cybersecurity professionals to really drive financial risk assessments through our platform. Um, my background really combines cybersecurity, physical security, business strategy, and I'm an avid runner. I'm a big endurance runner, and I'm excited about um, the conversation today.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's been kind of funny. And a little kismet, I suppose, is a lot of conversations here lately. Your guys' product has kind of come up without being named, which is kind of funny that people, it's definitely top of mind for a lot of people right now.
Hmm.
So, all right, Dawn, you want to go ahead and let's kick into some
Yeah,
review here on
get
2024.
let's get the questions going, right? So, um, actually, let's start with the predictions. I think that'll be super interesting. Like, what do you guys, what do you know is coming, or what do you think is coming for next year? And I'm gonna pick Brad because he's down in the lower left corner for me. So sorry, you're first.
No, it's fine. I kind of want to, AI, when I think about AI, I'm not going to talk about that. But when I think about AI, because we were talking about it earlier, and in my brain, I thought, I remember when the iPhone came out and everything was an app, right? Everything was going to be an iPhone app. I kind of feel that same buzz at times with AI. Um, but, as and Tim, this kind of talks with you too on the compliance side. As we see the hatches getting tightened on with CMMC and just regulations, and as y'all mentioned earlier, everyone's getting breached. We're really seeing more and more cyber become front and center, and a lot of cybersecurity is really been a technical conversation. And so where I'm seeing everything going in 2025 as MSPs really evolve in cybersecurity sales, in cybersecurity controls, really being able to quantify risk and in a way that not just an IT director can understand, but actually a CFO, someone in the C-suite. So um, I really, it's near and dear to us, which is why we started the company that we started last year. It was to address this need that we saw in the market. Um, and I really think this is going to be a big thing, risk quantification.
All right, I like
Absolutely.
that. That's a good one. All right, Marvin, what do you think?
So I think that there's going to be a weird little dynamic, and I'm going to use the example of the Kansas City Chiefs and State Farm and those State Farm commercials that they have where it's all about bundling.
Mm-hmm.
And even when they say, well, if you bundle home and auto, well, it's 5 words. Not if you bundle it. And I think that, listen, what, Kaseya is doing, ConnectWise is doing, I think other vendors are going to start to do this thing where everything turns into a bundle to save money. And between the bundle and the marketplace, it'll be an interesting path to see what happens with MSPs down the road. Some MSPs love it, others don't.
All right, Tim, what do you think? What are your predictions?
I'll take a side of fries with that bundle, please. So it's going to be a very interesting year. I know we've always talked compliance is coming. The last couple of years, compliance is here. Obviously, I'm going to say compliance is only going to get bigger, better, worse, all that fun stuff. But I actually want to put a little twist. The need for well trained, day to day technicians and IT specialists, and the ability to try to get more people into the cybersecurity space, especially from what's the word that I should probably use? Diverse groups of individuals. So it's not people like me coming into the space. I would love to be able to see, our community come together and provide opportunities for other individuals that might not necessarily fit the mold of the typical IT guy. And one of my predictions is hopefully us as a community can foster that and bring that forward and provide that as an opportunity either through internships or through other mechanisms to level up that workforce. So compliance and bringing in more diversity and more, inclusion or whatever word that I'm supposed to be saying politically correctly into our community that aren't people like this.
All right.
Okay. Don, how about you? What are your predictions?
I've got some spicy predictions. It's been a day, so we're going to get into the spicy predictions. So let's start with fact, right? We know Microsoft has discontinued selling Microsoft licensing to enterprise, right? So that's just something they're going to do. It's going to phase out over the next 3 years, which leaves this massive hole for where are these enterprise organizations going to get their licensing, right? And Microsoft's like, well, that gives the MSPs, a chance at selling that licensing. But we also know that there are some vendors that have been advertising on TV for the last 6 months looking to pick up that ahead of time. So I'm betting somebody had some insider knowledge that that was coming, what they were doing with it, and how they were positioning themselves to get in front of that. So there's one. And of course, they all have, their internal support groups, whatever you want to call that, professional services organizations, blah, 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 blah. And why would an enterprise group go to an MSP if they could go to a distributor that already has a support system in place that can match yours for better pricing? So I think that's coming for next year. I also think that again, this is fact. This isn't something that I'm just pulling out of nowhere. Comcast is starting to acquire MSPs. So that's another fight we're going to have to make. They're already in most of our clients, so how do we deal with that? And then there's another big vendor that Marv was talking about in the bundling situation that has actually built out some internal teams to go sell to your clients directly. That's been awesome, and I've gotten to see like multiple MSPs having to deal with that already. And I mean, they've got bills to pay, this large vendor, and the only way that they're going to do it is double dip on both your client and you because you're on the hook for those licenses for 3 years. So those are my predictions, my biggies for 2025.
That's not very optimistic.
It's not very optimistic, but I think it also creates a scenario where, as MSPs, if we all find ways to work together, I think we have ways around this. So I think this is that time to like find a buddy, find your people, find ways to come at this in a different way with different services that you haven't offered before. I mean, there's plenty of ways to really get creative and think around this. And I think 2025 is the year of being a little bit more creative in how you go to market.
Yeah. No, that's, I think, kind of looking into the crystal ball, I think there's going to be a continuation of those consolidations and acquisitions that are happening in the space. But I think that on the MSP side of things, I think we're going to see a lot more of those partnerships develop where people are more hyper focused in on a specific service area or expertise and partnering on the rest of that. I think on the vendor side, we're going to see a handful of IPOs this next year, which will be interesting. Um, and I'd be really interested to see how that affects their product and service long term. I'm a little pessimistic about the role that private equity and investments can mean on the quality of a product and partner program, but we will see. Um, but yeah, I've also seen a bit of a struggle in some vendors too on whether or not they stay channel only or, as you said, a couple are starting to go direct and target around MSPs. So that will be an interesting thing to see develop. Um, and I think we're getting to a point with the state legislation that we're probably going to see some type of roll up here in the next year, maybe 2 years of some of the state breach notifications and privacy and so forth. I think we're getting to that point where it's we need it. Even if it doesn't happen this next year, it needs to happen. So
100%. Anybody else have any other predictions?
Oh, I could probably go on for hours. Henry, you talked about the states. We are seeing more and more requests for state ramp, which is a sort of modified version of FedRAMP. And so it's been interesting. The last probably 2 or 3 months, I've been hearing more and more from MSPs, ones that are not in Texas. I know Texas has their Texas ramp, but we've been hearing more and more from MSPs about state ramp, which is a framework very similar to FedRAMP, but specific at the state level.
interesting. Yeah, that's it will be also interesting, I think, on the legislative side of things to see if there's we need someone, some organization to be a champion for our space because I feel like we're getting left out of a lot of the federal level stuff discussions that are happening that are instead being dictated by some of the financial and insurance people of the world. So I'm hoping that there will be some organization or someone will take up that charge and do something about it here in the next year. Because from a cybersecurity standpoint, yeah, we need something to stop some of the. I think Matt Lee does the writes MSP on a post-it note, and he's an MSP. That's we need.
So if only there was a degenerate willing to lead that. Sorry. No, I'm kidding. I do believe that they're so. I mean, CompTIA aside, they're at least I was hopeful that there was something kind of moving down that path around some sort of trust mark type program, some sort of verify my MSP type program. Because you're right, like all I need to do is just wave the flag, and now, oh, and you know what? Then I can just add a second S, and now I'm an SSSP, right?
Yep. Overnight.
Overnight. But I can't get my hair
Overnight.
cut unless I get it from somebody licensed.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll cut your hair.
Yep. It's pretty easy.
Take 5 minutes.
Nice.
All right. Does anyone else have any other predictions?
Well, along those lines, to follow up what you guys were saying, I mean, there are at least 2 organizations that I know of that their purpose initially was to try to get MSPs a seat at the table.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's just because they themselves haven't been able to make much headway, or that their mission and goals have changed, because what happens from my outside perspective looking in is that they turn more towards membership and catering to a lot of the same things that we're all doing with trying to educate and teach MSPs how to be more professional and that sort of thing. But I still don't see us actually being able to affect what's happening at the state or national level.
Yeah, that's I think kind of the struggle there is we're really not in the room, not part of sitting at the table, at least currently with the right people. So
Yep.
hopefully,
Comcast will be at the table now.
yeah.
That's Comcastic.
Ugh.
Should I just say Deutsch? Oh, no politics. I was told no politics. That tends to be the challenge, though. We have all these really smart people, like us, like not just here, the degenerates. We have all these really smart cybersecurity people that actually want to do right by their customers and by their small businesses. But yet, you have all these legislators and all these people like that are so just disconnected from the small business community at large, trying to make decisions in a vacuum without having the right people at the table.
Mhm.
I could envision a world where, us as a community come together and we identify, 20 or some odd people, put together a cohort, and then go up to some of the cybersecurity so-called political people and actually educate them and help them and like maybe make change for the better down the road.
Yeah.
I feel like they call that the United Federation of Planets, and we're not quite there yet.
That's why Jen Easterly's leaving. She's going to go start that.
Maybe she'd be a good person to make that happen. That's true.
Yeah.
How hard is it to start a PAC?
Super fun.
Yeah. No, that's I don't know. We'll see what comes out of that. I imagine a lot of people will be watching Jen's moves and her replacement at CISA will be interesting. So
Maybe she just retires. Maybe she's like the rest of us, and I'm like, I've had enough. Give me 3 to 4 more, 5 more years, and I just want to like retire. I've had enough. I can't fix it. Although that does bring up an interesting point. There's people like you, Henry, and Don, and others that are like have been really trying to push this industry forward for the betterment of not just the MSP but the small business. And there's a lot of discouragement in that, right?
Mhm.
I'm curious about like how, as an organization, that the tech degenerates, as an organization, how can we help, like, encourage, as opposed to, there's a lot of people that I've been talking to the last 6 to 8 months that are just deflated.
Mhm.
Like one-on-one conversations, we're just
Yep.
deflated. We're just like we've like there's only so many times I can smack my face against the wall before I think it hurts. Like, what can we do to help in encouragement that keep the fight going.
Strangely, that actually like starts into some of the questions that we have for you guys, and I'm gonna throw this one down as one of the banners. And I think answering some of that was the you can't expect the things that got you to where you are today to get you to where you want to go tomorrow, right? So a lot of things have to shift within the industry, within the MSPs themselves, within the people. Like you can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, right? So coming back to your exact question, Tim, I think there's, evaluating what you've got to start with, like what's not working, where are you falling down, is it somewhere within your client base, is it operational, is it here, is it there, is it marketing, is it what's going on in your own business? Because if you're ostriching yourself, sticking your head in the sand and saying I can't find the problem when obviously there is one, you can't possibly expect things to change. So I understand how people get deflated, I understand why they're getting deflated, not specifically because everybody's a little different, but I mean, I've heard a lot of people say, "Well, sales are so different now." Yep, they've changed in the last couple of years. Client expectations are a little bit different. There's all kinds of things that go into that. But my question back is, what have you done this year, last year, that spurred change, right? So, what have you all done operationally, whether it's a new process, a change in procedures that you're doing, brought in a new software package? What have you guys done to adjust that?
Who wants
You
to
gonna
jump
call
in?
I was going to say, you're going to call on somebody, or should I just jump in?
You can jump in.
So, what have we done as a company? Obviously, we've brought on more people. When this has been, a year or 2 years ago, it was the Tim show, and it was really struggling. Now that we have more people, I can actually breathe for a minute. I can actually take an hour out of the middle of a random day of the week and come and sit with you all and do this kind of stuff. So we've brought on people. We've started to refine our processes. Bring in the right. We like to use the right person in the right seat at the right time, and now we're there and we're pushing that forward. We've identified those gaps. We did our gap analysis. Well, go figure. So for the company, the right people in the right seat at the right time. But for me personally, I have really tried to make it a point to spend more time with my family. For the last, I don't know, 40 some odd years, work has consumed my life, and I have you know, relinquished or not given enough time to certain things. Maybe I missed a kid's play or something. Well, now with our new grandchildren, I'm trying to make sure that I actually take the time to spend time with our family, to engage with them, and to not miss out on those opportunities personally going forward. So, business, right people, right place, and personally, making sure that I'm spending time on the things that I deem important to me and to us.
I think that's a perfectly solid answer, quite frankly, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anything else either.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Brad?
Yeah, let me kind of piggyback a little bit off Tim. We're a newer vendor. We've been in the MSP space before as a vendor. So this is our second rodeo. Uh, so we're able to look at what we did at our previous MSP vendor and really take a lot of lessons from 7 years of building that and taking Threat Captain and saying, how do we build better for MSPs? And what are the lessons that we learned at our previous? I mean, it's still in action, moving. It's still a business, but um, what can we do better? And a lot of where we focused our processes around is being a new vendor is letting the MSP literally kind of own our roadmap in a sense to where they can help us. We know that we have value today, but we're still missing the boat on so many things. So really being open and vulnerable with our MSP partners to really understand how we build better. And I think that has been a big game changer for our team this year. We've grown our team. We brought in one thing that I love doing starting companies is bringing in talented individuals that might not necessarily be cybersecurity focused or even background or even MSP focused. And so it's cool if you can find someone like cybersecurity, but never really heard much about what an MSP is, how do they fit into the market, and really help them evolve. And we've done that with our director of product, Kathy, and she's been an amazing addition to our team. So she's even implemented some new procedures that, from the design standpoint, we haven't even ever thought about. So really just leveling up. On a personal level, like I said earlier, I love to run. So just making sure that mentally I'm in a good place, blocking and tackling my calendar to make sure that we're constantly staying on track. Because at the end of the day, when you're starting a company and you're building something like you got all you know here, I mean, it's all about consistency and having discipline. And at the end of the day, if you can get those things done and look back at the day and said, "Hey, we made some movements and we got closer to making this a better product for MSPs," that was a good day. So um, that's I think that's what I'd like to say.
Yeah, awesome. Marvin?
So, as the small boutique MSP on the panel here, I will say, so I spent a lot of time this past year kind of re-educating customers on what it means to be an MSP, what it means to provide network support, what it means to, bolster cybersecurity, because a lot of customers are getting information from so many different angles that they don't really know what's what, and they just are assuming, well, that doesn't apply to us. And explaining to them, like, the hackers don't care, the bots don't care, that phishing email that your employee clicked doesn't care. It applies to you because you have a computer and you're on the internet and you have data that you need to protect. And if it's not the data, because some of them will say, well, my data is not really that important. Okay. If your network went down and you couldn't work for a day, how much would that cost you? And that puts everything in a different perspective. So that's one thing. The other thing was fighting the battle of MSP versus MSP, whether it's small versus large, best practice versus no practice, or local versus global, remote, all of those things. And trying to get them to understand that, the services that I provide are the services that you need based on all of the things that are happening in the industry, whether it's NIST or CMMC or CISA, and letting them know that, look, I'm not here to save you money. I'm here to protect you. And so twice this year when I've had to, deal with customers that were looking at other organizations, and their whole goal, when I say their whole goal, the other MSP coming in, their whole goal was to save them money. And I said, well, that's fine. Are they doing this? Are they doing this? And they said, well, no, they're not going to do that for us. I said, okay, well, then are they saving you money or are they putting you more at risk? And do you really want that? That's really what I've spent the last year on. And it really stemmed out of an argument where one customer looked at a proposal and said, wow, you're more expensive than the big guys. And I said, it's not me that's more expensive. It's the protection that I'm giving you.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the types of perceptions that we are dealing with. And it still stems from, well, my neighbor's got a kid down the street and he can take care of us. Yeah, maybe not. And trying to explain to them what network security means in this day and age. Even post-COVID, it has already changed and the needle has moved and people just aren't able to keep up. It's hard for us to keep up.
I love that. Yeah. No, and I think that probably gets to Tim's question about kind of the demoralized state of things today. Of if we can kind of point to where we want things to be, and the what success looks like, and fill it with that education gap, I think that overcomes a lot of that demoralization. So, yeah, I think the education lens around this, from whether it's from clients or MSP to MSP, I think that's a huge thing. that huge opportunity.
Like
Um,
like to use the analogy, we're all in the same boat. Can we just all turn and face our oars the same way and row in the same direction, please? Like, it
yeah,
ain't that hard. Can we just work better together and row in the same direction, please?
yeah. So Don, how about you? What's something you guys changed this last year?
What haven't we changed this last year is kind of what this feels like. I mean, to everybody's point though, the world changes so fast, right? So we have to be agile enough to change with it. And hopefully we're all in the same boat rowing in the same direction, as Tim likes to say. But I mean, things that we have going on, I mean, a lot of our internal processes have changed this year for the better. Fixing things, where we can see bottlenecks or some issues going on, we've changed those and adjusted them. We've added people, which Tim knows that's fun and difficult all at the same time. But we've put in sales folks, and we've put in account managers, and we've put in technical team, and it's been a journey, and it's probably going to be a journey through 2025 as well. We have new services coming out. We have whole new divisions of our company coming to fruition over the next couple of months, and it's been nuts. But I know one of the things that's on my rock list for next year is putting together a client advisory board, so we get direct feedback all the time from our folks, so we know where our issues are and things that we need to get fixed. Or if there's a process that we think is good but the client's like, no, this is terrible and you should fix that, we hear about it right away and get that taken care of, because we do care. We like our small businesses, we like our medium-sized businesses, and I'd like to love those enterprise ones too. So but I want to have the processes and procedures in place to be able to do that appropriately.
Yeah.
So what about you, Henry?
Uh, like you, I feel like everything has changed, reinventing in different ways. Tweaks on everything at least. But a big emphasis on trying to become scale ready. So focusing on those SOPs and just documenting and updating our documentation on every little thing. Yeah. um, and trying to network and build partnerships in different areas where I know that we're weak, that other people are stronger, that they can backfill us, and stronger together type of thing. So those have kind of been the big things for us this year, is trying to get that scale ready and find ways that we can kind of multiply our impact.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've put in Insightly is coming for us in 2025. We put in Trainual this year.
Oh, well,
And there's probably some other stuff. I mean, obviously, Strutty, we use that as well to
Mhm.
to maintain internally. So there's all kinds of stuff that we have implemented this year, and those are just three of the small ones. So so those have been fun. Let's also talk about customer expectations, because I think we've seen a shift in that as well. And again, coming back to Tim and the demoralization of things, like how have things shifted? What does that look like? And I'm really interested in, are the vendors seeing the same things that the MSPs are? So,
Mm.
Brad, I want to start with you this time. What are you guys seeing on the expectations from your clients?
Well, we are still new, and we're still figuring out some things internally. But like you, we built an early advisory board that has been instrumental on helping us move things forward. Um, but we're pretty open about, hey, tell us what you want, what you don't like, what you need, what you'd like to see better, and we're implementing. Like, for instance, it was on our roadmap to get SSO and two factor on our platform, but we had a partner that basically said, "Hey, look, I just signed up and I need this immediately," and so we pushed things forward. So I am seeing, they want to see something secure, but really just we just want to be agile. And I had a conversation with two cool people, and they said, we just don't want to see vendors that are just so sucky. Like, we just don't want sucky vendors. And so I took that to heart from, our ideal customers and partners that we'd want to work with. And so um, I know that there's high expectations for us vendors. And, for those of us that are in it for the right reasons and that want to really be here to help grow MSPs in their businesses and highlight them, we're here for it. We're here for those type of requests.
And it's always good to hear a vendor that understands that, knows where it's coming from, and truly wants to make things better. So that's always exciting for the MSPs to hear that.
And I think MSPs in general can sense that too when a vendor truly thinking of Dawn. There's a vendor that we're on an advisory board for that does a fantastic job of just listening constantly and being open to harsh feedback. So I think MSPs can read through the lines and or between the lines there and see what vendors actually truly care about getting their product to a better place.
So I learned a lesson years ago from our good friend Marnie, and Alex. Right, Alex Farling, Marnie, Lifecycle Insights, and the phrase was "build in public." And when we have been, launched and whatnot, we started Compliance Scorecard with an advisor council of actual people from almost day one. Like, I'm not in the trenches anymore, all day like I was. Tell me what you need, because just because Tim thinks it's a good idea doesn't necessarily mean the masses think it's a good idea. And we've had some really harsh conversations that have turned into really great things for our partners in the community at large. When we talk about like the challenges that we hear from the MSP is specifically around compliance, since that's where we are, is the ever growing need of their customer's customer asking for a thing, right? So not necessarily the MSP and not necessarily their customer, but the third customer in that chain wanting to do business. Do you have a SOC? Do you have an ISO? Do you have a this? What are you doing? Third party questionnaire, like that sort of one more step removed. And they're going to their MSP like, I do this for me. That we have seen such a huge increase in this past year where it's the MSP's customer coming to them with things that the MSP's client has no idea what to do with. And the second half of that is, oh, the MSP just does all that stuff for us when they probably don't, right? So that whole third and fourth party risk management, if you want to call it that, we see a lot of that every single day where the MSP may or may not want to do SOC 2, but their customers in that chain are requiring something in order for them to do business with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a struggle. That's literally why we just launched this whole new division, is because MSPs don't have the time, the resources, want to do it, whatever. But if they want to keep doing business with your existing MSP client base, it's just the price of doing business.
Very true. Marvin, what have you seen from clients as far as expectations? Are they kind of the same, or are they shifting at all?
Well, I mean, they've kind of been the same overall with the shift, since the year of our COVID to trying to juggle, this remote/hybrid situation. For me personally, in my business, it's actually changed a little bit in the sense that the business owners are starting to see me as more of their partner. Now, I don't have a reason why. I'm not going to be able to tell you why I did this and this change, but I got a lot more calls from clients this year that said, hey, we're thinking of doing this in our business. We need your input. And a lot of times it's had nothing to do with IT. Well, let me rephrase that. One of them called because they wanted to get new furniture, and they wanted it to be tech friendly, because they hear all the time where we go to install a computer and there's no grommet hole, this, and so that was good. A customer last week called and said, "Hey, we're thinking of getting, you know, redoing our insurance. We want to add cyber, and we figured we'd call you before we called our insurance guy." Those are things that we have been wanting for years for the business owners to consider us their partner and to call us. So now I'm even getting calls with, "Hey, we're moving. Can you handle moving the computers for us?" I'm like, "I really don't want to, but thanks for calling."
Yeah.
So that's the shift, in terms of client expectations that I've seen. Now we're still dealing with, "Hey, we want you to do more for us, but can we pay you less?" And I have to say, no, you can't.
Yeah, I think everybody has that issue, but I mean, it's good to hear that your clients are creating that stronger bond, though, too, because it sounds like that's exactly what you've got going on there. The moment they start calling you about things that aren't just, my mouse doesn't work, you know you've got something good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge win. We talk about predictions back up 40 minutes. Um, it's a big mind shift change for the MSPs to have the business conversation with your customers and not necessarily the tickets, the ones, the zeros, the bytes, the bits, the phishing, the tech things. Like
Mhm.
starting off, and I think I said this a couple weeks ago, like instead of asking the question, what keeps you up at night, ask the question, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What motivates you to do the thing that tell me why you make the donut, right?
Because they're
That shifts
delicious.
the conversation and shifts the mindset to A, more positive, but B, you can really discover the risk around that by asking those kinds of questions along the way.
Mhm. Yeah, that's being intentionally positive in how you approach it too. Yeah.
What about for you, Henry? What have you seen that has shifted this year?
Um, I think I would reiterate that we're definitely seeing more partnership, business discussions, and more openness to so like what Brad's tackling with his product, more discussions about what's the financial impact of various risk and truly understanding that risk uh, that lays in front of them, whether they choose to address it or not. And I think the other thing that we've seen is that people have been very tolerant about changes to pricing. We've, like all people, I think, have increased our rates this year. And I think people just in general kind of expect it and accept it. So um, I think that that's a good thing for us, but it's been interesting to see that how open people are to that.
I don't know if the rest of you deal with this, but like usually when we take on a client, right, their expectation level is like down here. And as you work with them a while, their expectation is way up here. And
Yeah.
now we fight that thing of, oh, we didn't answer the phone on the first ring. We're sorry. We didn't get back to you in 10 minutes. Okay, hang on. I know it was 15. Give us a minute. Like we have other calls, that kind of thing. So I think the moving bar of expectation, right? I think that one's really hard to deal with, especially over time when they go from people that, that aren't very good and then they get an MSP that is better, hopefully significantly so, and hopefully it's you. Um, Dealing with that creep of what their expectations are and that they want things perfect every single time and things like that. And we're all people at the end of the day, so nothing's ever going to be perfect, but resetting expectations so that they do align with SLAs and they do align with the way that you do business. I think sometimes that conversation has to happen sometimes at the beginning of every year just to make sure that we understand things started way down here. We understand that your expectations are now way up here, but the reality is that your contract says that they're here. And I know we like to over deliver, but you have to understand that this is where it needs to be. So
To
I think
that point,
that's
we just started doing a reorientation. It's an annual reorientation with our clients, just to make sure, yes, you try and address a lot of those things in QBRs or TBRs, but yeah, we're making a concerted effort at least annually to make sure that they effectively go through an onboarding again, um, just just to ensure that those expectations are level set each year, because people change on the staff, and yeah, as you said, they get accustomed to one way of things, and yeah.
I love that. I love that you said the word re-onboarding, because that is literally what we are just starting to roll out. We talked in the beginning about what's changes, people, process, all that stuff. Well, one of the things we're implementing starting in January is a re-onboarding touch point somewhere in their client journey to make sure they still know what they're doing, they still have what they need, all of that stuff. I love the fact that you used the word re-onboarding, because did you just read my playbook?
maybe.
No comment.
It is something that we've just started to implement and roll out beginning, in January, because I think it's important to continue to redefine and reset those expectations along the way. When we were just like two people and maybe three customers, heck, I could spend all day with all three customers. Pretty easy. Now when we're, 10 million customers and 500 staff, that just can't happen. So being able to level set ongoing and making sure that we're meeting the things we said we're going to meet, but also maintaining that customer expectation along the way.
Mhm.
Do we have time? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
a point? So something that I think has worked for me is that, first, let me say I don't do QBRs, TBRs, any of the R's like that, because I do something where anytime there is a major change in my customer's business, we have that discussion then, and we reevaluate constantly. And I've tried to make it to where anytime the customer wants to know their technical position, that we can create those reports pretty quickly, so that I don't have to spend 72 hours putting together reports for them. I want to be able to do a few clicks, send them a few PDFs, and here you go. Let me call you in an hour. And customers like that, knowing that, listen, whenever we need to have a discussion, we have it. And if it's because we've, brought on 5 new people in this department and we got to change something right now, we don't need to wait until, the annual review to go over stuff, which is where the price changes happen. They just know anytime there's a major change, there's going to be a price adjustment as well.
All right. Do we have time for one more question?
Yeah, you guys good?
Everybody good?
I have 2 minutes, a minute and a half before I got to jump on my next call.
All right. Well, then we're going to switch over. Best event for you this year, Tim, and was it best for education, the ROI, or just because you're a vendor? Go.
Write a Boom and Can IT, both because they're really good events with really great MSPs and good ROI. They are my peeps, so it literally tied right in. So Write a Boom and Can IT or Can It up in Canada. Best 2 events for us this year.
All right. Awesome. What about you, Brad?
ScaleCon, which was awesome. Don, you were there. And Tim, you were there. That was a really cool annual or first inaugural event focused on sales and marketing. Dawn crushed her talk as well in front of all those great MSP owners. And then, CompTIA, I'm a big fanboy of CompTIA, like everyone here on this call. ChannelCon was a lot of fun for us because it was our coming out party and kind of like our first, all right, we're here. So that was fun.
Awesome. Marvin?
So for me, actually, it was a smaller conference, TechCon Unplugged, and mainly because it was small enough that I could have individual conversations with people and not feel rushed. Even though we get those conversations at some of the other conferences, I mean, they're all great. I had great times at IT Nation, ASCII, Channel Pro, what else? I was at a bunch more this year than I've ever been. Not 500, but a lot. But TechCon this year, the schedule wasn't compacted to where we always felt like we were running, and the conversations were
Hi,
doing.
Brian. Hi, Tim. Hi, John.
Right.
Hello.
We're going to let Tim hop off here.
Run, Tim.
Hi, y'all. How do I get out?
We'll try that. That's a little better there.
There we go.
Yeah, no, that it's interesting to see some of these smaller events that have popped up that really pack a punch too on the education. That I think everyone knows the big shows and goes to the big shows, obviously, but there's some great smaller shows out there that really have some great speakers and content. Don, what was your favorite?
It's like picking your favorite child. There's a lot of really good ones that were out there. I think I like different events for different reasons, right? So I think for education, ScaleCon 100% was something a little bit different, something I hadn't seen before, information I hadn't gotten to before. So I think that was really good. TechCon was fantastic for some of the people that were there. And Marvin's right, you were able to have those side conversations and be able to spend time with people and not feel rushed and like, oh, you have to go to this particular thing. I mean, IT Nation was fantastic for, the folks that were there, the ability to have conversations with people you don't run into all the time. I mean, so many of them are so good for so many different reasons. And even, the ASCII conversations, I met so many new people speaking at the ASCII ones this year. So I don't know that I have a favorite. Like I said, I think they all have their own ROI to them. And I think it's a matter of figuring out what your ROI is for the year, right? What are you actually looking to accomplish? And then finding the right event to accomplish that particular goal or events for that particular goal or goals that you have set.
Very true.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys taking the time to join us today. Some great stuff there. Dawn, I will let you kick over here.
All right, so I am going to shift us over to the last little bits here. I mean, we had a lot of really cool recap pieces for the year. I don't want to dive into them too awful much because I'm going to tell you all to just go back and watch the beginning if you missed it. So please go do that. But there's a lot of really good predictions. There's a lot of information coming out from both the vendors that we had on today as well as Marvin Bee. Go back and take a listen to them. It will make your business better.
Yep. No, and absolutely tune in to Marvin's podcast live stream later today for even more content that'll be going over a lot of this, parts of 2024 and prep for this next glorious new year.
So let's talk about what's coming next, right? Because there's always something coming else. So in January, we've got the SMB Tech Fest for Q1, Channel Pro Live in Tampa. And then February,
we have TrettLocker's Zero Trust World. And then I think that's actually going on at the same time as Right of Boom. And then ASCII Edge will be in Costa Mesa. And we will put a link in the comments to our full list of events. I'm not sure the total number that we're tracking for this next year, but it's continues to explode. It's
too many.
Several hundred.
It's too many.
Yep.
All right. We need to thank all of our amazing sponsors. So please make sure that you go take a look at some of these sponsors: ThreatLocker, Infima, CompTIA, Channel Pro Network, Rhythm, ZenTop Consulting, Zero Networks, FlexPoint, IT Nation, and of course, Threat Captain. So thank you all very much for being sponsors of the Tech Degenerates and of course this live stream as well.
All right. And if you want to see how you can get involved in the community, community is open and free to everyone to join. Hop on our website at thetechdegenerates.com. And for any vendors that are interested in supporting our cause, there is a QR code there that will take you through. I'm excited for this next month session that we have lined up as well. We'll be talking about the future of cybersecurity in 2025. We have a pretty all-star panel set up for that. I believe it's we've got representative from CompTIA, which I believe will be Chris Johnson, Matt Lee, Joy Beelan from Summit 7. And we'll have Roddy Berger on from SureWeb. So,
Oh my gosh, we're not going to have to do anything. We're just going to like sit back and let them do their thing. This will be amazing.
right? Yeah, that's just sit there and be a fly on the wall for sure. That's a lot of smart people.
It is a lot of smart people. And you know, one thing that we didn't mention, and we probably should, we get a lot of Henry and I go to a lot of events. We show up to a lot of different things for different reasons. And if ever you need a new friend, come find us. Our community is open. We want to make sure that everybody is very aware of that. We are certainly not like the super cool kids. We literally just want to come hang out with you, learn new things, meet new people. So if you need a friend, come find us at any event.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I guess
think that's it.
that's it. So Merry Christmas and thank you to everyone that joined us today.
See y'all in 2025.